Hi, this is Dawn. Welcome to my art room and my sewing table. And today, this is my very first video, so I thought I'd just give it a go. Hopefully I've got something to share that you'll like. Just at the moment, I've been making myself a bag. It had some slow stitching on it, and I'll admit to using the sewing machine to construct it just because I felt it needed a bit more strength than just hand stitching. But while I chat, I thought I'd have a bit of a stitch as well, just for something to do. I've been stitching, sewing, painting for all my life, I think. It's never changed. I've, just done something a little bit different. And just during COVID, pre-COVID, found Rachel. And while I followed her with her journal making, it was her slow stitching that fired me up. She talked about Jessie Chorley, and she talked about Lisa Matic, and she talked about Anne Brooks, and all of those ladies I've had lots of fun following either on YouTube. I went to a retreat with Lisa. I'd love to go to one with Rachel. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that might happen at the end of the year. Just waiting for Green Door Studios to open those bookings. And through her, of course, found all of you lovely ladies that also work on the Roxy Journal of Stitchery. Corinne from To Be Loved Treasures has been a treasure. I didn't know what I was doing, and she's encouraged me all the way, and my special stand arrived today, but I was struggling all morning with shadows, so I'm hoping I've resolved that. And I guess seeing is believing once I've finished doing that. I've made this bag just to have as a bag for taking to a retreat or something, and decided to do some slow stitching on the back and the front. I did a little bit of thread painting, added lots of laces and things. And now what I'm actually doing is stitching the inside to the outside, just because, as you can see, it sort of gets all bunched up in here, and I sort of thought I'd have a bit of a play with that, so threaded the needle. But I also thought I'd like to share some things that I've done. I started early days with Rachel right from the start, from one of her very first projects. And of course, in the last 6 months, have really enjoyed making useful things. A little container that's got lots of vintage bits and pieces. I don't own a heap of vintage fabrics, but I have an awfully big fabric store, so stash, not store. A gorgeous little zippered pouch that I really loved making. Yes, I might have to admit to the sewing machine for the zip, but everything else, even put together, was by hand. The squares on the back, that is my vintage fabric that I own. They're from Laura Ashley, and about 50 years ago, she used to have a shop in Melbourne. And in that shop, she had bags of scraps that I went and purchased a few of. Created myself a large quilt that I started when I was single and finished when I was married. So it kept growing. And then also my daughter fell in love with it, so she had it for ages, and since then I've managed to restore it. But I kept the bag of scraps, and in the bag of scraps, lo and behold, were tiny little squares that I'd made, all paper pieced and hand stitched together. So I couldn't really find any bits of paper that had a real date on it, but I think it was around 1978, which was the year I got married, but I know I definitely started before then. A little toggle on the zip, and that's thanks to Jennifer Clouston, who I have been following on YouTube as well with her embroidery. The other thing that I've been doing, or did, was a retreat with Susanna from Vintage Blend Studios, and she had a panel of village life that she called it. I decided Christmas is a favourite time of year. I'm always over the top with my decorating, and I thought a Christmas village might be nice, or a Christmas row of houses might be nice to stitch and then decorate. And then I got a bit crazy and decided to cut it up. And so the second row, I've created an Alice in Wonderland panel. I'm just going to move up, sit up here and see if I can make sure I've got it in the right place. So the church was on her design, but these little houses I changed just to make it fit really with Alice. The gorgeous fabric that I've made as the bindings just reminded me of Painting the Roses Red. It was a fabric that I picked up in Ballarat when we went to her retreat, which we did. These little cutouts are from a site that I found on Etsy that really is for paper craft. So the site or the product was called Vintage Alice, and it came with lots of different pages to make a journal really. But I found a product in the Officeworks shop, and it was a printable cotton fabric to put in the inkjet printers. So I thought I'll give it a go. It's never going to be washed. But I did probably forget to say, and you probably worked it out by now, that I live in Australia, country Victoria actually at the moment. It's a cold day today. It's been raining for about the last 3 days, which is kind of nice because we haven't had much rain. But it's made it days for sitting and stitching really, and that's okay too. I'm a mum of two grown-up children, a daughter and a son, and have 4 gorgeous grandchildren who all love to hop in this art room. A lot of my work, I try and incorporate a little bit of fabric painting. So these parts here are things that I've added, painted in the building, appliqued the roof, of course, and painted these little buildings, and did the same with the Christmas one, painted these buildings and added the rest as applique. So that's from the lovely Susanna. And I've also been following along with the Botanicals that Susanna and Corinne both do together. This was the poppy page. It's a bit out of order here because I haven't actually put it together. I've got fabric that I've eco-dyed. There's another thing that I love doing, and thought maybe I might be able to incorporate some of that in the latest Roxy's Girls Challenge. This was a fuchsia page, a piece of fabric that I dyed and actually stamped, and then added it all on in a collage way. The roses were a sketch that I did and then painted, and then added a bit of stitch around it, fabric, thread painting. I just realised I put a bit of that grey stripe from that bag. This was Pansies, which was the first month from their botanical series, and I just thought having a go at different types of pansies. This was from an actual doily that I had, some painting, some applique, a bit of having a go at using ribbon for embroidery. And this was a journal that I started last year with the lovely Francisca Nunes, who does Arts Flower Magic, and started to put this journal together, and I thought, the Botanicals actually might fit in that. So that's my intention. This was the page for cherry blossoms, and this was lilies. Yes, just lilies, but I chose to do water lilies again, incorporating lots of my fabric painting, little collage. Some of this embroidery here is done with machine embroidery threads that are very fine, but come in a range of colours. The same thing with these. That's the machine embroidery thread, just because they had a nice sheen, rather than just only using the embroidery threads. So yeah, so that's me. Just thought I'd have a bit of a chat while I was doing a little bit of stitching and putting this bag together. So what else can I tell you? I've done lots of courses and classes with, can't find the needle now. Oh, here, I threaded it up and got it ready and then I lost it. No, that's not it. This might be it here. I just have a pin cushion that I made, one of those nice big long ones, and put the needles and pins in there, but then of course I don't remember what the needle is. I just decided to pick a long heavy duty one because I'm going through all of these layers from inside to out and stitching along the stitching line here just to keep it together really. Yeah, so I've done good, that was a good knot. I've done art journals with an online class through Wonderlust, Everything Art, which is based in the UK. That was worldwide. I've been doing that since 2016. I found Finnabear. She came to Australia quite a few years ago, pre-COVID. Everything's pre-COVID or after COVID. And did a class with her, which was lovely, just getting some painting techniques done. Some of the art journaling consists of collage work, and I thought that really lended itself to fabric, and every now and then a tutor would come up that would do something in fabric, and I realised that really was my first love. I did an art and design course at Box Hill TAFE a very long time ago, and that was in stitch as well, but that was mostly machine, slow freestyle machine embroidery, which I also love doing, but there I learnt a lot about dyeing and fabric embellishment pre-stitching. So that's where my first love came from, and thought that would be really good to incorporate in all of this slow stitch work. Last year I went to a retreat with Lisa Matic, and we did a couple of things where I actually met Corinne for the first time. We'd sort of definitely, I'd been following her videos but hadn't met, and then of course we met again at Ballarat with Susanna's retreat, and now I'm going back to Ballarat, but this time with Corinne's retreat in October, so that'll be fun. I've got a girlfriend that lives not far away, but we always plan to get together. Our hubbies like similar things, so that's a bonus. And we love to stitch together, so we've been following along together. Every now and then you'll probably hear me talk about her. That's my lovely friend Willie. My grandchildren were very impressed when they saw stands for cameras and iPads and lights, and Nana, are you going to have a YouTube channel? And of course the answer was, well, I hope so. I hope I don't make a fool of myself. And yes, the 9-year-old was very impressed, thought that would be good, and he was going to go home and tell the 12-year-old to make sure he subscribed. Not sure what they'll think of me stitching. Not quite gaming, but anyway, never mind. They suitably impressed, and it's nice to be able to still impress your grandchildren. Here comes the husband, so this is the end of that. Well, I'm back again. Sorted the hubby out. Paul just needed something. He laughed. He said to me I needed a red light outside the room so he would know when I was recording. But in that minute, I just thought I would keep talking about the things that I have done. Excuse me, sorry. I just loved the Huswif project. I bought some beautiful Japanese fabric again in Ballarat, and had had also got very interested in the shishiko embroidery, so added those bits to my huswif with some other little bits and pieces. This was an embroidery that we did with Nikki Franklin at the Lisa Matic retreat. Lisa was another person that we got to know whose instruction on doing very fine embroidery was just lovely. And so yeah, I added those. Again, a little bit of cheating on the machine. Don't have any French labels, so made my own. But yeah, that's my little huswif that I did with Rachel. I just love the inspiration. She really sets me on fire, which is wonderful, and I know she does with lots of people. Had a go at making Fimo buttons with a little dragonfly emblem on it. And the other thing that I really enjoyed doing was the trifold pouch, and Sarah's idea of doing a little snippet roll to attach it. I've always been really fond of making snippet rolls, and I'll just show you a couple of those that I did. That was just a piece of patchwork that I'd done with paper piecing and thought that looked okay in there with some Tilda fabrics. Lots of thread painting, lots of embroidery. This was a little embroidery that I did years and years and years ago. It was in a little frame, and I thought, oh, that looks all right on there. I'll add that to it. A bit of ribbon embroidery. But my snippet roll obsession I started when I was doing journal making, and that was with the machine. Just lots of paper and gorgeous bits all sewn together that I just cut off and use for tabs and things when I get around to it. And during COVID, this was a lifesaver. This was one of Anne Brooks's classes that she did on making a snippet roll with embroidery, and this is where I first got that love of adding everything that I could find, bits of fabric and beads and embroidery, and continued on throughout her time that she did the snippet roll. Really loved doing that one, and also did the tags. Didn't finish them. Wished I had have. One day I might. But loved doing those. Actually, Rachel, on one of Rachel's videos, when she first started to talk about it, she created these boards of just all bits and pieces of fabric, of paper, sorry, all joined together, and created my own tags. So that was a bit of added fun to the tags. I love old tins, so I do have things in tins. I have quite a few of them. And this one was from the treasure album that we did, the project that we did with Rachel, and it's already in a trifold that I did to fit inside the tin. This was from Artie Farty's little great big stitchery swapped with Willie and Corinne. Made a fabric tag that Rachel had done with Flower Magic, can't remember, a couple of other ladies that found me, and we swapped together, and yeah, that was good fun. Just my my colourway. This was a little embroidery that my daughter did when she was about 8, and now her daughter is interested in needing to know how to do stitching with Nana, so she's actually started doing one of those. I might share that one day, but today it's all about me today. Anyway, that's that was the treasure box, and the other one that I've got here was Down the Garden Path, which of course Rachel and Sarah did together. Loved doing all of that. Incorporated a bit of fabric painting, a bit of printing on fabric, a bit of fabric dyeing. Used lots of my old laces, and taught myself on a YouTube video on how to do a bit of thread painting. Little possum sitting there. Yeah, so that's that's where I'm up to. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed having a look at what I do, and that might encourage you to follow me. Some of the other ones that Sarah sent me on a rabbit hole with a beautiful French artist called Facile Cecile, and she loves using these really bright embellishments that I also used on the trifold pouch with the bright orange zip, and really love how that just sort of like brings it to life. And found this bit of old rickrack that I had in that stash. I used a piece of old cutter quilt. It was in pretty bad condition, so I needed to cover it. Another one that you've heard people talk about, Melanie from Reclaimed Textiles. I found that site and purchased this bit of cutter quilt ages ago. It's in pretty bad condition, but it makes a really nice scrunchy purse. And again, with the containers, I made this roll for my threads. Use some of that beautiful old Japanese, oh, it's not old, Japanese fabrics. And I found this bit of trim that I had in that stash. Didn't even remember that I had it, goodness knows for what, probably card making or journal making or something. It's just a bit of stuff that was probably cheap when I bought it. But I love the colour pop, and of course Jennifer Coulston's embroidery, her ribbon embroidery, she's really inspired me a lot to have a go at ribbon embroidery of my own. It's probably not quite in the right spot, but I still love that it's there. I made her a little pouch that she had on her YouTube with all hexagons first, and then the embroidery, which is pretty much, following along with her. So it's it was a lovely way to learn it. I did put that zip in by hand, so that one's got a claim to all being hand done, all stitched together. So there we go. That's me for today. I'll get along with my bag, probably put a video on of my own and watch that while I do it. And maybe the next time I'll continue on with my Alice project. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed what I've had to show you. Sorry about if there were too many ums and ahs and fiddling things with my hands, but I've enjoyed my first one. Okay, bye for now.